All right, so we're diving into Atlassian's latest earnings call. They just finished Q2 of 2025, and wow, there's a lot to cover here.
Yeah, there is.
So whether you're already an investor or just kind of curious about the future of work, I think this deep dive will be pretty interesting.
Definitely. And I think the big highlight here is they've crossed that $5 billion annual revenue mark.
Huge milestone.
Yeah.
And it's not just like in the top line. Their subscription revenue is up 30% year over year. So that tells me their cloud strategy is really working.
Absolutely. And it's not all just small businesses either.
Right.
They're seeing a lot of demand from enterprise level clients, those Fortune 500 companies with the really complex needs.
And that's where I think this whole system of work idea comes in.
Yeah.
Right? It seems like they're trying to become like the central nervous system for these massive organizations.
Exactly. They want to connect all the teams and all the tools into one sort of seamless and efficient workflow. And it seems to be working, record number of deals worth over $1 million.
It's impressive. So it sounds like things are going really well, but what about AI? I mean, that's the big buzzword these days. How is Atlassian incorporating that into their products?
Yeah, they're going all in on it. They've already seen over 1 million monthly active users for their Atlassian intelligence features.
Wow.
Things like AI-powered workflows and knowledge discovery, which have really been game changers.
It's like they're making AI accessible to everyone, no matter how tech savvy they are. But, one concern I've heard from investors is about AI potentially cannibalizing their own user base.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a valid concern, and Mike Cannonbricks actually addressed it directly in the Q&A.
Okay.
He doesn't see it as a threat, though. He actually thinks it's a tool to boost productivity.
Okay.
His vision is that AI will free up employees to focus on those more strategic tasks, which will then lead to more growth and innovation.
I like that. Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
It seems like they're really positioning themselves to be a leader in this AI-powered future of work.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not their only focus. They're also exploring some new pricing models, like consumption-based pricing, which could be a big deal if they can pull it off.
Interesting. We'll have to dive into that a bit later. But first, let's talk about this new co-CEO structure. Brian recently joined Mike at the helm. How do you think this will affect the direction of the company?
It's an interesting development, and from what we gathered, Brian's focus will be on scaling that go-to-market strategy, especially for those large enterprise clients that we've been talking about.
Right.
With his background, he seems like the perfect fit to lead that effort.
So it seems like they're doubling down on their enterprise push, which makes sense given the potential there. But let's not forget about their existing products. What were some of the key highlights there?
Well, Jira is still their powerhouse.
Of course.
It's not just for software development anymore. They're seeing a lot of growth in its adoption by business teams as well. And their acquisition of Loom is really proving to be a smart move, especially with all the new AI-powered features they're adding to it.
It sounds like they're building a really integrated ecosystem of tools, all powered by AI.
Yeah.
But what about their data center business? With everyone moving to the cloud, I would have thought that segment would be shrinking.
It's interesting. They're actually still seeing a lot of activity in that data center segment.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of large clients, while they recognize the benefits of cloud, are maybe a little hesitant to fully migrate just yet.
Right. So they're offering those hybrid ELA agreements that let clients transition at their own pace.
Exactly. It shows that they're adaptable and willing to meet their clients where they are.
Smart. So let's talk financials. Their Q2 results were pretty impressive. They beat expectations on both revenue and earnings.
Yeah, and their guidance for the second half of the year seems cautiously optimistic, despite all the macroeconomic uncertainty out there.
Right.
They acknowledge that there might be some volatility, but they seem confident in their ability to execute.
So it seems like they're walking that fine line, but their investments in R&D and go-to-market strategies appear to be paying off.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
All right, so to sum it up, it looks like Atlassian is in a pretty strong position. They're executing well, embracing new technologies, and delivering value to their customers. But before we get too carried away, let's have some fun with our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Okay, let's do it. What wild trade idea have you got for us today?
Well, I was thinking, what if Atlassian went all in on consumption-based pricing, like for their entire product suite?
Whoa, that's pretty bold. I mean, it'd be a huge shift from their current subscription model. But, with their customer base and this focus on AI, could be a real game changer.
Right. Imagine charging per task completed or per project milestone hit. It incentivizes efficiency and directly tie their revenue to customer success.
It would be really interesting to see how they would actually measure and price tasks, across all their different products, but I can see the appeal. It could attract those clients who are maybe hesitant to commit to those big upfront subscription fees, especially with the economy being a little uncertain right now. Exactly. It'd be a big gamble for sure, but it could disrupt the entire industry. But, of course, this is all hypothetical.
Yeah, definitely. This is not financial advice territory.
Yeah.
But that's what makes this segment fun, just exploring the possibilities, even the crazy ones.
Speaking of possibilities, let's get back to some of the details from the earnings call. One thing that stood out to me was how much they emphasize breaking down those knowledge silos.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, we've both experienced that frustration of information getting trapped in different departments or systems. It's a huge productivity killer.
Yeah.
So how are they tackling this?
Well, they're using their integrated suite of tools to enable that seamless information flow across different teams and departments.
Right.
And this is where their AI capabilities really come in.
Oh, I see. So AI can help surface that relevant information from all those different sources and make it easily accessible to everyone who needs it.
Exactly. It's like having a super intelligent assistant that can connect the dots and provide those insights in real time.
And it all ties back into that system of work idea we were talking about earlier.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Creating a more connected and efficient organization. Another thing that I found interesting was their discussion around developer productivity. Mike highlighted a feature called AutoDev, which uses AI to automate various coding tasks.
That sounds pretty amazing for developers.
Yeah.
What exactly can AutoDev do?
It can do things like generate code snippets, debug errors, even suggest improvements. It's like having a virtual pair programmer helping you out every step of the way.
Wow. And this is just the beginning, right? We're just scratching the surface of what AI can do for developers.
Absolutely. It has the potential to really speed up development cycles and let developers focus on more creative and strategic aspects of their work.
Which ultimately benefits everyone, right?
Yeah.
So we've talked about their products, their AI initiatives, and even their financial performance. What about their overall go-to-market strategy? How are they reaching their target customers?
Well, they've made a pretty significant shift in recent years. They've moved away from that primarily product-led growth model to a more sales-driven approach, especially for those bigger enterprise clients.
That makes sense considering their focus on that segment. But, building a strong sales team and establishing the right processes, that'll take time and resources.
For sure. But they've put a lot of effort into building out their sales and customer success teams. They're also making strategic partnerships and acquisitions to expand their reach and their overall ecosystem.
Sounds like a very holistic approach. And their success in securing those big enterprise deals really shows how effective their strategy has been.
Definitely. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one more point. We've been talking a lot about consumption-based pricing, and we even explored it in our This Is Not Financial Advice segment. But what's Atlassian's official stance on this? Did they give any insights during the call?
Good question.
Well, they were asked about it, and it seems like they're open to exploring it further, but they're not rushing into anything. They emphasized finding a pricing model that aligns with the value they're providing and make sure their customers are happy.
It's a tough balance to strike. They need to find that sweet spot between customer needs and business growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're even considering these new models shows how adaptable they are and that they're committed to staying ahead of the game.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and look at some of the specific highlights from the call that I found interesting. First, their cloud revenue growth was really impressive, coming in at a solid 30% year over year.
Yeah, that's a big jump. And it's a clear sign that their cloud transition is gaining momentum. Another interesting thing is that their subscription revenue now makes up the majority of their total revenue.
This really highlights that recurring aspect of their business model, the stability and predictability.
It's also in line with the overall industry trend towards that subscription-based software model.
Right. And despite the significant investments they're making in R&D and sales, their profitability is still strong.
Yeah, it shows how efficient they are and their ability to scale. Plus, the fact that they're generating so much free cash flow gives them even more flexibility to invest in future growth opportunities.
Speaking of growth opportunities, let's take a closer look at some of their key products and how they're performing. Starting with their flagship product, Jira.
Jira is still a powerhouse for them. It's widely used by software development teams, but it's also expanding into other areas like project management.
And its integration with other Atlassian products like Confluence and Trello makes it even more valuable.
Right. It's becoming a central hub for teamwork and collaboration across the whole organization.
Speaking of Confluence, it seems like it's really gaining traction as more organizations adopt remote work and have those distributed teams.
It's a great tool for things like knowledge sharing, documentation, and project updates. And being integrated with Jira allows for those smooth transitions between planning and execution.
Now let's touch on Trello, their project management tool.
Trello is known for being really user-friendly and having a visual approach to project management.
It's a great option for smaller teams or individuals who prefer a more lightweight solution. And of course, it integrates perfectly with the rest of the Atlassian suite.
Exactly. Now, before we move on to their other products, I wanted to highlight something that Mike said during the Q&A. He talked about their commitment to building a system of work that goes beyond just individual products.
That's interesting. So it's not just about having a bunch of different tools, but more about how those tools work together to create a more seamless and efficient workflow.
Exactly. They want to create a unified platform that breaks down silos, encourages collaboration, and allows teams to actually achieve their goals.
It's a pretty powerful vision.
Yeah.
And it seems like their investments in AI are a big part of making that vision a reality.
Definitely. Now let's take a look at some of their other products. They have a pretty extensive portfolio.
They do.
They have Bitbucket for code repository and version-controlled Jira service management for IT service management, Opsgenie for incident management, Status Page for communicating service incidents, Bamboo for continuous integration and delivery crowd for single sign-on and identity management, and Fisheye and Crucible for code review.
Wow, that's a lot. They definitely offer a solution for just about every aspect of software development and IT operations.
And they're constantly innovating and expanding their offerings. Like they recently integrated some AI-powered features into Loom, their video messaging and screen recording tool.
It's impressive how they're using acquisitions to make their product portfolio even better and provide more value to their customers.
Absolutely. And they're not afraid to make big moves, as we saw with their acquisition of Trello a few years ago.
Speaking of big moves, let's go back to their pricing strategy. While they haven't fully committed to a consumption-based model, yet they did increase prices across a number of their products.
Yeah, that's pretty common in the software industry, and it makes sense considering the value they're providing and the investments they're making.
But they also seem to be aware of how these price increases could affect their customers. So they're taking a careful approach, giving people plenty of notice and being very transparent about it.
It's a balancing act, for sure. They're trying to keep their customers happy while also growing their business.
And their strong brand and loyal customer base definitely give them some wiggle room.
For sure. Now let's talk about their competition.
Okay, so they're up against a lot of different players, both big and small, but they've managed to stand out with their comprehensive suite of products, their focus on teamwork and collaboration, and their strong brand reputation.
And their dedication to innovation helps them stay ahead of the curve, but they can't get complacent. The tech industry is always changing, and there are always new competitors popping up.
All right, so let's wrap up by looking at their future outlook.
Well, they're in a great position to keep growing. They're dominating the market, they have an innovative product roadmap, and their customer base is expanding.
And their focus on AI and other new technologies should give them an edge in the years to come.
Absolutely. It's going to be exciting to see how they continue to evolve and shape the future of work.
Definitely. But before we get too carried away, let's remember that this is not financial advice. We're just two enthusiasts sharing our thoughts and perspectives.
Always do your own research. Talk to a financial professional and make your own investment decisions.
Okay, so let's switch gears for a minute and have a little fun with our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear what wild trade idea you've come up with. Okay, so for our This Is Not Financial Advice segment, I was thinking about Atlassian's potential move towards that consumption-based pricing.
Yeah.
And it got me wondering, what if they combine that with their AI capabilities?
Oh, that's interesting. How do you see that working?
Well, imagine this Atlassian uses AI not just to power their products, but also to figure out the best price for each customer based on how they use the products and the value they get from them.
That would be a pretty big change. It would create a really personalized and dynamic pricing structure, tailored to each customer's specific needs and workflows.
Exactly. AI could analyze how teams are using the product, track project progress, even assess how complex the tasks are.
Wow.
And then based on that data, they could adjust the pricing in real time.
That would be a huge shift away from those traditional subscription models. But it could be really appealing to some customers.
Right.
Like, think about startups or smaller businesses with needs that change a lot. They could pay only for what they use and avoid those big upfront subscription fees.
For those bigger companies, AI could look at their usage across all of Atlassian's products, find ways to make things more efficient, and suggest pricing plans that are optimized for them.
It would be like having a personal AI consultant for your software budget.
Exactly. It's a pretty bold idea,
Yeah.
but it's not totally impossible considering Atlassian's history of innovation and how much they're focusing on AI.
True. There would definitely be some challenges, though. Like,
Right.
you'd have to address data privacy concerns, and the algorithms would have to be super sophisticated to make sure everything is fair and transparent.
For sure. And it would require a big change to their internal systems and processes,
Yeah.
but the potential payoff could be huge. It could really shake up the software industry
Yeah.
and solidify Atlassian's spot as a true innovator.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. If any company can pull off this kind of AI-powered pricing revolution, I think it's Atlassian.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Atlassian's Q2 2025 earnings call. It's clear that they're a company to watch as we see how work and technology continue to change.
Absolutely.
And just a reminder, this is not financial advice. We're just two people who are interested in this stuff, sharing our thoughts and perspectives.
Always do your own research. Talk to a financial professional and make your own investment decisions.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time for another exciting look into the business world.